Now that we've got this painted with the primer, I want to talk a little bit about what we've got here before we going further. This pressed wood material they use, it's great for these buildings, but it's also very absorbent of paint, which means you really have to get a good primer base down before moving on. Otherwise, it's going to soak up paint and it can be blotchy. This has taken 3 coats of just regular white primer. You can see down here, down in here, this is how it would look after like your first coat. Some places it's going to be covered, but you're also going to have this blotchiness where it's been soaking into the wood. This is how it might look after 2 coats. A lot of this is 3, and even still with 3, you can see it's a little blotchy here, but it should be good enough to move on to final painting. But you really want to make sure you have a good coat of the primer down before you move on. It's going to make your final paint look a lot better. Otherwise, it's going to soak in, and you're going to have, it's just not going to be as uniform as you hope. So it'll cost you a little bit more in primer and time, but it's worth the effort. Now, as you move on, we're going to pop these pieces out. All of these kits, they come with, you can go to their website or scan the QR code on the sheet that's with each unit, and they have instructions on just how to put the model together. It's very easy. They lay it all out for you quite nicely. I use super glue. The biggest part is not gluing yourself to it. But I'll take these parts out, I'll lay them out, get an idea of how it's all going to put together, and I'm going to decide on the color schemes for the building, what I want to do with the stairways, and this is the framing for the upper portion, for the roof. So I'll kind of get an idea how I want to do that. I'm thinking about like a light blue, because that'll carry over to the rest of the pit buildings if I continue to use these for the entire pit lane. But like I said, I want to get this built and put it on the track and see how it looks, and if this is the style I want to go for. I'm considering adding an O-gauge train to the entire layout, and I'm thinking, 50s, 60s, 70s kind of era, because a lot of the cars I run are some older ones too, but I think these buildings really look good for that era as well. So next thing to do is pop all this out and get an idea of what I want to do with it. Back with the core of the structure built. I stopped here because the doors and this window insert, there's another piece that goes in here. It'll be this piece that goes in there behind that window. The doors, they're ready to go in, but I want to get some acetate for glass and put those on before I put them in, because I don't want to try and put the acetate in place once the doors are on. That could get messy. I want to stop here because I've got super glue on my fingers and I don't want it to be getting any more blotchy onto the building. But you can see, the way it puts together, it keeps it really square itself if you just follow the instructions. This didn't take long at all to glue up. Trimmed a little bit for this interior door frame to fit in these notches. It wasn't sitting completely flush with the floor, so I just trimmed it a little. Everything went together nicely though. We're all looking good. Then after I get the acetate on the doors and windows, the next part is putting on all the etched siding. They have siding pieces to cover up all this, which you can see here. And these are the siding pieces. They also make for the ramps for the door frame, or for the stairs. The etching also has parts on the side, as you can see here, to help line up your stairs and your stair railing that goes against the wall. So once we get I'll go to the store tomorrow, pick up some well, some like, there's got to be some clear sheets I can get at Walmart or something. And I want to test it to see how it does when you put the super glue on it, because I don't want it, some of that stuff can get cloudy. So we got it done to this point. Another thing also, as you can see here, this is how it will look. This is that big hole that will be accessible when you take the roof plate out. So you can still get in here to do decorating or move things around. Another thing to think about is how you want to light this. I'm going to have the bottom part of the garage illuminated, as well as the top. I've got a bunch of different LEDs that I will test in here to see if it's, you know, if just one 5mm 12-volt LED will be enough, or if I'll need more than one, how I want that to lay out, and then how you're going to get that wiring in and hidden. You can come in through a hole in the top at the back wall and bring it in underneath the staircase and then glue it to the surface. Same thing with here, coming in, maybe coming through. What you could maybe do is put like a straw painted black or something, a plastic straw painted matte black, and think of that as like, you know, downspouting or something that you could hide the wiring in going into the building. Or you could 3D print something too. You could 3D print some gutters and put it in with that. But have that thought in your head of how you're going to run that as you're putting this together. So we'll be back with, once I get some acetate. Back to video for the next update here. As you saw in the pictures, I've got the stairwells done. It comes with this handy little, this is part of one of the pop-outs. It was basically a jig to put the side pieces in, and that held them in place while you aligned everything and made sure everything was square, and then just held it in place while you glued it all down, and it pops right out. So the two staircases were finished. And then the plexiglass came in. Got it on Amazon. They're 8x10 sheets. There's 6 of them, mil thick. If I was gonna get 2 mil, and I'm like, that'll be hard to cut. Might have to use a saw. This actually cuts well with just some heavy scissors. I was able to cut it, no big deal. But you get, I think it was 6 sheets for $6. And it turns out this is perfect for glass. It comes with a protective coating on each side of just to peel off, which works well with the fact you can just lay something on it like a door and then trace around it with just a regular ballpoint pen, which will track on this, and then cut it out, which is what I did. I put the glass in all the doors. As you can see, it does look like glass. It gives a nice reflective coating, or a nice reflective look off of light. Did the same thing with this interior piece here. One thing I noticed right away, I was like, whoops. You can see a little bleed through of some of the super glue, because I just put it on and then put the glass on. I'm like, well, whoops, I'm going to have that bleed through and show. At least it doesn't frost it. But what I ended up doing for the rest of them was I just put, let's see one from the angle, there we go. I just put a little bit on here and there, and then I just took a piece of, well, it was actually one of the leftover piece of the stair, and just kind of evened it out nice and thin. That way when the glass went down, it didn't spread it out into the viewable area. So think about that when you're doing it. But all the doors have glass in them now. I'm going to put all that in. And for the side pieces, I forgot to do some painting. It's part of the rail system. So like right here, that needs to be blue. So what I'm going to do is pop that stuff out, pop the two sides out, and get that painted. And then I can start looking at doing the stairwell, putting the stairwell and everything in. So let's get on with that. So now that that's done, the build is basically complete, except for putting in some lighting, which I'm going to have to sit down and look at it and figure out where I want to drill and add the LEDs. The glass looks great. You have the frames up top. The roof just kind of pushes into place. So you can remove that to get to the interior if you want. Kind of like that light blue. I'll see about doing that next. Putting in some lights and show how it looks. You could, put little guys in there, whatever you want to do. Put furniture in, however you want to decorate it. That's the car size for it. And they fit in deep. It'll sit there with it does have the garage door, which is this piece, which I did not install. It goes in on the inside and blah, 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 and then it just looks that way. But I'd rather not use it. If I could make it where I could automate it going up and down, that would be great, and I've seen it done. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to decorate the inside of the walls. I've got some little, really tiny LED signage coming in. I'll save that for the lighting show, or at least the lighting part at the end of this video. It may be a couple days to a week before that stuff arrives. It'll give me time to figure out where I'm going to put the LEDs, but I've got some signage, and I think it would just look better that way with the signage and stuff and the door open. So there we are at that point, and we'll resume the video when the rest of the stuff comes in and I get it done. Here we are at the end of things now. I've got it wired up just to show you how it can look with illumination. I've got a little adjustable power pack here set just to almost 12 volts. I'm using, I've got all kinds of LEDs. I just ordered a bunch of, all off of Amazon. Those are all 12 volts. I also have, just the LED chips themselves in like 3.3 volts for different things like the track lighting. I just put a warm white in the roof. It's just, I didn't even secure it. It's just laying in there. So that would be like where people would be hanging out. So I went with just a warm white. And then down in the garage, just a single, you can see it up there, just a single bright white LED. It seems to illuminate it pretty good. You can put more, whatever you want. But that's the basics with the illumination, 12 volts. I have some stickers coming to put on the walls, and then I'll use some different powders and stuff to dirty it up a little bit, give it that used look. I also have, if you've noticed some of the illuminated billboards around the racetrack in previous videos, I've got a number of Miller Engineering stuff and Lightworks. I bought a ton more that have just come in. But I thought about I purchased some of the small window signs that might look good on like hanging on the inside. So here's one here. Um, you can put that on like the window of a building. They have multiple ones. I've got this in a Schaefer's beer, but they have all kinds of different stuff. Sinclair oil. Uh, these are the two that just the Pabst Blue Ribbon and the Schaefer's beer come in, but that can be put on the wall. It's got a very thin footprint for the wires, so that can go through the wall and then have the wiring come out the backside or however you want to do it. It's pretty flexible. The big billboards are usually animated. They have a lot of different presets, but usually only like 3 actually look good. This one only comes in, it's got a 3-way switch, so it's either on, off, or it'll blink. So whichever you like, those are your 2 choices. But for some buildings I plan to get, I have some outdoor small signs like such. Like advertising signs, they come with different stickers to put in here that the light shines through, so it is illuminated. But those will be marquee signs for little buildings and stuff around the track. So I've got a number of those and a lot more stuff, but there's so many different ways you can decorate these. But this one's pretty well done. The car's for scale, so you can see how the car fits fully inside. You could close the garage door if you wanted to. And that's a pretty long car, that Porsche. But the next thing I'm going to start building will be the magnetic racing Ferris wheel, which is motorized. So we will be back with that soon, hopefully. Thanks for watching.